energy challenges facing the country and ANC policies were on the agenda during the party's NEC meeting at the weekend. The party has decided to take immediate action to revamp a number of these policies, including the controversial cadre deployment policy. Well, let's try and get more detail on exactly what the party means, and we speak now to spokesperson Pule Mabe, who talks to us on the line. Mr. Mabe, thank you very much for your time. Can we start with the energy crisis? What firm steps or what firm resolutions have been taken around this?
Morning to you and morning to your viewers. What the National Executive Committee emphasized was the need for immediate interventions to alleviate the plight of South Africans, as well as the pursuit of a longer-term systemic interventions to ensure sustainable energy security. We had said that the number of things have got to really be done in the immediate, and that is increasing maintenance and improving the availability of the existing supply, that ESCOM should acquire appropriate skills and experienced mentors, when as far as saying there could be a need to bring in young engineers who could really constitute the next generation of the ESCOM leadership. Facilitate private investment in energy generation capacity, speed up the repurposing of power stations with alternate energy sources, accelerate the procurement of battery storage, empower municipalities to procure additional electricity. You recall, Toli, that a while back, the president did make an announcement that municipalities can now really procure their own IPPs.
Yeah.
So we are saying there should be acceleration in that area, so that the municipalities could also be able to really procure their own energy as well.
Mr. Mabe.
Encourage business and households to invest in renewable energies, and that the government must speed up reforms in the energy sector.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Mabe, I've listened, and I'm not sure I'm getting anything new in what you are telling us. All of what you are saying has been said before. I'll tell you why I'm saying that, and that is that the National Planning Commission, which is housed within the presidency, I'm talking government now, they are saying that there needs to be an emergency when it comes to dealing with the energy crisis in our country, much like what was done when COVID hit our shores. And in the main, if I were to quickly summarize what they're saying, is that it's the removal of red tape in order for new capacity to be generated or connected to the grid. Why is the party not saying that?
But the party said, we did say that. We did speak about the removal of red tape. That is part of the interventions that we said must be done. We, in our own expressions in the National Executive Committee, we did really express ourselves that this is a national crisis, a national emergency. It requires us to intervene differently. The same way, to use it was as if you were in our NEC.
Mr. Mabe, can I tell you what removing red tape means?
Yes.
All right. My understanding would be, much like what was suggested recently in reports, that the IRP, which is the Integrated Resource Plan, which is the direction or the major policy that directs energy in our country, that should be suspended in order to allow for new capacity to be brought into the grid. Is that something that your party has even spoken about, the suspension of the IRP?
No, we didn't really touch on that.
Okay,
our remove, can I come in, if you allow me?
Sure.
Our removal of red tape involved, for instance, lessening the time through which things are being done, sometimes through your own supply chain. Once you say you are dealing with something as an emergency, it means even on how you procure, you'll have to make sure that those processes are now done much faster. Something that could have been done in 3 months, you now have to make sure that you lessen the period. You put in the necessary practice notes from the Treasury side to allow relevant government departments and state institutions that are charged with this important task to be able to work with that speed. Because sometimes it is our own bureaucratic processes that tend to delay the speed through which things are being done. So the ANC made that observation and said, if we could remove some of these administrative red tapes, would be able to allow for new entrants in the markets, whether it's you going the solar route, incentivizing households for doing such,
all right,
but also totally not wasting a crisis. Not wasting a crisis in the sense that there are things that you could actually be able to do out of this energy crisis to also relieve and give communities some sense of relief, in the sense that the very unemployed young people in communities could actually be part of the machinery that participate in the installation of these solar panels if government were to take a view of incentivizing our people in that rollout.
Mr.
The same
Mabe?
way that we have done with social security and all other interventions to assist our community.
All right. I'm not sure I've gotten anything substantive really on what you have said in as far as removing red tape. Quickly
you can
on
tell
this
me
last
what
question.
you want me to say, because I just explained what is our conceptualization of removal of red tape.
Well, I think let's invite you into studio when you have time. Let's touch on this last question, and that is the review of the cadre deployment policy. What exactly are you saying is going to be done there? What does reviewing that policy mean when you are defending it in court at the same time?
Well, of course, I mean, we received a report from Comrade Jeff Cadre and an action plan on the recommendation of the Commission on State Capture. And part of what we said was that we'll have to look closely into some of the recommendations that are being made, and then be then able to say these are the actions that we are going to take as the African National Congress. On cadre deployment policy, we had said that the reviewal of that policy will have to make sure that it is in concert with it is not in conflict with the laws of the Republic, even on how it gets to be executed. Of course, we are in court defending it. We will review our policies all the time. We are going to the policy conference now. We would still have to, if it was not a pronouncement of the commission, we're still going to be looking at that. Because the ANC always has to make sure that its policy undertakings are consistent and in sync with what is happening in the modern day. You could find that some of these policies would have been more relevant a decade ago. They might no longer be able to fulfill what they were set up for in today's environment. So we have got to make sure that we create greater alignment. That's how we pronounce ourselves.
All right. Pule Mabe, thank you very much for your time. He admits that they are defending it in court, but at the same time, they're hoping to review. I'm not sure what you make of that. All right.